The night before my son Oliver's heart surgery felt like the longest night of my life. I remember sitting by his bed, listening to the slow rhythm of his breathing, and wondering how much fear a 7-year-old could possibly hold inside such a small body. His surgery was set for May 14th at 6 a.m., a 4-hour operation to fix a congenital heart valve defect that had worried doctors since birth. For weeks, I had been counting down to that day, preparing everything, and praying that the hands of the surgeons would be steady and kind. I told everyone in the family 6 weeks earlier. I made personal phone calls to each of them, one by one, explaining how serious this was, how frightened Oliver had been, and how much their presence would mean to him, and to me. My mother's voice had been soft but firm. "Of course, sweetheart. We'll all be there. Oliver needs his family." My sister Diane promised to take the day off work. My brother Marcus said he'd drive down from Portland. My father even joked that he'd bring Oliver's favorite stuffed bear to keep him company after the operation. Every single one of them had said yes. That night before surgery, Oliver couldn't sleep. He kept twisting the blanket between his little fingers, his big brown eyes full of questions I couldn't always answer. "Mom," he whispered, "will Grandma really be there when I wake up?" His hand clutched mine so tightly I could feel the tremor in his small palm. I smiled even though my throat ached. "She promised, buddy. Everyone promised." He paused, then asked the question that shattered me. "What if I don't wake up?" I forced a smile through tears I couldn't let him see. "You will wake up. The doctors are the best, and I'll be with you the whole time. When you open your eyes, we'll all be right there. Grandma, Grandpa, Aunt Diane, Uncle Marcus, everyone." That was the last promise I should have made. At 5:30 a.m. the next morning, we arrived at the hospital. The smell of disinfectant mixed with the sharp chill of the air. Oliver held my hand the entire time through check-in, changing into his tiny hospital gown, and meeting the anesthesiologist. He was being so brave, but I saw his eyes flick toward the waiting room door again and again. "Where's Grandma?" he whispered, his voice shaky. "She's probably just stuck in traffic," I said, forcing a smile that didn't reach my heart. "And Uncle Marcus?" "He had a long drive, sweetheart. He'll be here soon." A nurse came to take him to surgery. When she began to wheel his bed away, Oliver reached for me, tears filling his eyes. "Mom, I'm scared." "I know, baby," I said, brushing his hair back. "But you're the bravest kid I know. When you wake up, everyone will be here waiting to see you." At 6:12 a.m., they took him through the double doors. My heart went with him. I walked to the waiting room, my stomach tight, my mind spinning. I checked my phone, no messages. 6:30 a.m., nothing. 7:10 a.m., still nothing. At 7:15, I started calling. My mother, voicemail. Diane, voicemail. Marcus, voicemail. My father finally picked up around 7:45. "Dad," I said, already exhausted. "Where are you guys?" "Oh, Jennifer," he sighed. "We're so sorry. Your mother and I can't make it today. Something came up with Diane's wedding planning. We need to meet the venue coordinator this morning." I stared at the phone, speechless. "Dad, Oliver is in surgery right now. You promised." "We didn't realize the appointment was for today," he said quickly. "It's the only time the venue was available." "Then reschedule it," I said sharply. "The wedding is in 3 weeks. We can't. Diane needs us there. Oliver needs you more." My voice broke. "He's 7 years old and having heart surgery." "He'll be fine, Jen. He's a tough kid. Tell him we're thinking of him." And then he hung up. I sat there for 4 long hours surrounded by other families, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, all gathered together, hugging, whispering prayers, offering comfort. Every child who came out of surgery had someone waiting to celebrate their strength. Oliver had me, just me. When they finally let me into recovery, I rushed to his side. He was awake but groggy, his face pale, his chest bandaged. He looked around weakly. "Where is everyone?" he asked, voice small and fragile. "They couldn't make it, sweetheart," I said softly, brushing his hair. "But I'm here, and the surgery went perfectly." "They promised," he whispered, and tears began to roll down his cheeks. His sobs made his chest hurt, which made him cry harder. A nurse came over quickly with pain medication, offering me a look of pity that cut like a knife. My 7-year-old son, recovering from open-heart surgery, was crying because his family didn't think he mattered enough to show up. The next day we went home. Oliver was quiet, withdrawn, his eyes distant. I tried to talk to him, to make him laugh, but his spirit seemed dimmed. That evening, my mother finally called. "How's our little soldier?" she asked, cheerfully oblivious. "Heartbroken," I said flatly, literally and figuratively. "Oh, don't be so dramatic," she sighed. "I'm sure he's fine. Kids are resilient." "He's devastated that no one came," I said. "He keeps asking why." "Well, the wedding planning was important. Diane's big day is coming up. Oliver's surgery was important too," I said, my voice rising. "It was life-threatening. He was terrified, but it went fine, didn't it?" she said lightly. "So everything worked out." I hung up. 3 days later, 3 days after my son's heart surgery, I got a text from my mother. "Hi, sweetheart. We need to talk about something important. Diane found her dream wedding dress, but it's $5,000. We're asking everyone in the family to chip in. Can you send your contribution by Friday?" I stared at that message for a full minute, my pulse pounding. $5,000 for a dress. 3 days after they'd skipped my son's surgery for wedding planning. I walked to Oliver's room. He was asleep, pale and still, the hospital bracelet still on his tiny wrist, a 4-inch scar on his chest. I went back to my phone, opened my banking app, and sent exactly 50 cents to my mother's account with a message. For the veil. Best wishes. Then I did something I had been afraid to do for years. When I got a big raise long ago, my parents convinced me to add them as authorized users on one of my accounts for family emergencies. They said it would make helping each other easier. And like always, I agreed, because I wanted peace. Because I always bent to keep everyone happy. That account now held $47,000, my hard-earned savings, my emergency fund, my safety net. I logged into the bank, removed their access, changed every password, secured everything. Then I blocked their numbers. No warnings, no explanations, just action. The next morning, my phone rang at 8:47 a.m. "This is Derek Morrison from Pacific Union Bank," the voice said. "Your mother, Patricia Walsh, is here and says she's having trouble accessing one of your accounts." "Yes," I replied calmly. "I removed her access yesterday. That account is mine." "She's saying there must be some mistake." "There's no mistake," I said firmly. I revoked her access. "It's my account and my money." I heard my mother's voice in the background, loud and angry. "Tell her to fix it. She can't just steal from family." "Mr. Morrison," I said, "please tell my mother I haven't stolen anything. Every dollar in that account is mine. If she keeps contacting you about it, I'll consider it financial harassment." He cleared his throat. "Understood. I'll explain it to her." I hung up, and my phone immediately started ringing from unknown numbers. I ignored every call. An hour later, the doorbell rang. My brother Marcus stood there, looking both furious and ashamed. "What the hell, Jen?" he said. "Hello to you too," I answered coldly. "Mom called me crying. Said you stole her money?" "I didn't steal anything," I said. "I removed her access to my account. She said it was family money. It wasn't. Every cent came from my paychecks. She was an authorized user in case of emergencies, but apparently, emergencies don't include my son's heart surgery." Marcus looked down, guilt creeping over his face. "Look, about that. You all promised Oliver you'd be there," I cut in. "He's 7 years old. He went into surgery with only me by his side." "We had the venue meeting," he said weakly. "You could have rescheduled, or gone after, or literally any other time. But you chose a wedding venue over a 7-year-old's heart surgery." I folded my arms. "And now you're upset because I won't hand over $5,000 for Diane's dress? You want to talk about family? Oliver is family. Where were you when he needed you?" Marcus's face paled. "He asked about us?" "Of course he did," I said quietly. "He asked where everyone was. He believed every promise you made, and he woke up to find out none of you cared enough to come." Marcus rubbed his face. "Mom said it was routine. It was a 4-hour open-heart surgery on a 7-year-old, I snapped. "There's nothing routine about that." "We didn't know it was that serious. I told you all," I said, my voice trembling with anger. I called every single one of you. You just didn't listen because it was easier to pretend it wasn't a big deal. So you're punishing us by locking Mom out of your account? It's not punishment, I said evenly. It's a boundary. She had access for emergencies, and she's proven she doesn't understand what an emergency is. I paused, looking him straight in the eye. A wedding dress, I said, is not an emergency. Oliver's surgery was what about Diane's wedding? What about family supporting family? Marcus, I just watched my 7-year-old son go through heart surgery surrounded by strangers while his entire family was picking out centerpieces. Don't talk to me about family support. So that's it. You're cutting us all off? I'm protecting Myson and myself from people who've proven they don't care about us. Yes. If that means cutting you off, then yes. He left without another word. That afternoon, Diane herself showed up. I almost didn't open the door. I can't believe you, she said the moment I did. My wedding is in 3 weeks and you're sabotaging it. I'm not sabotaging anything. You sent Mom 50 cents with a sarcastic note and then you locked her out of your account so she can't even access the family emergency fund. There is no family emergency fund. That's my savings account, my money, and Mom is not entitled to it. She said you all agreed to pull resources for family needs. She convinced me to make her an authorized user just in case. I've never taken a penny from that account for anything but my own expenses. It's not a family fund. Well, we need it now. You need that dress. You need a $5,000 dress. While my son recovered from heart surgery with no family support except me. Your son is fine. No, Diane, he's not fine. He's heartbroken. He keeps asking what he did wrong. Why nobody came to see him. Why his surgery wasn't important enough for his family to show up. Something flickered across her face. It was important. More important than Avenue walkthrough. More important than wedding planning, because you all chose the wedding over him. Every single one of you. We didn't mean to hurt him. But you did. You all promised you'd better. He went into surgery believing that. And he woke up alone except for May. I'm sorry, Diane said quietly. I really am. I didn't think about how it would affect him because you didn't think about him at all. You thought about your wedding just like you're thinking about it now. You're not here because you care that Oliver is hurt. You're here because I won't fund your dress. That's not fair. Nather is asking me for $5,000 3 days after you all abandoned my son during heart surgery. Mom said you could afford it. I can't afford it. That doesn't mean I'm obligated to spend it on you, especially not after what you all did. Diane's eyes filled with tears. So I can't have my dream dressed because of one mistake. It wasn't one mistake. It's a pattern. My needs don't matter. Oliver's needs don't matter. Only yours do. That's always been the family dynamic. But I'm done with it. What do you want? An apology? You want you to understand that actions have consequences. You chose your wedding over my son. Now I'm choosing my son over your wedding. That's fair. She left crying, but I felt no guilt. Over the next week, I received calls from relatives I hadn't heard from in years, all taking my family's side, all explaining why I was being unreasonable. I blocked every single one. My father sent a long email about family obligations and disappointing him. I deleted it without finishing. My mother tried to show up at my workplace. Security escorted her out after I declined to meet with her. Through it all, I focused on Oliver, his recovery, his physical therapy, his emotional healing. Mom, he asked one night, why didn't they come? Because they made a bad choice. They thought something else was more important than you. Was it? Nobody. Nothing is more important than you. Not to me. And you know what? You don't need people who think weddings are more important than your health. You deserve better than that. Do you think they'll ever say sorry? Maybe someday. But even if they do, that doesn't mean we have to let them hurt us again. So we don't have to see them. Not if you don't want to. He thought about that. I don't want to. They made me sad. Then we won't see them. It's okay to protect yourself from people who hurt you, even if they're family. Even Grandma, he hugged me. Good. I like it when it's just us. Anyway, 2 months passed. Oliver healed beautifully. His scar faded. His smile returned. Has stopped asking about his grandparents. Diane's wedding happened. I wasn't invited. I didn't care. My mother left a voicemail. I hope you're happy. You ruined Diane's wedding by not contributing. Everyone knows what you did. You should be ashamed. I wasn't ashamed. I was relieved. Then 3 months after Oliver's surgery, a card arrived in the mail from my father. Inside was a check for $5,000 and a note. Jennifer, I'm not asking you to cash this. I'm asking you to see it as what it represents. The amount we asked you to contribute to something trivial while ignoring something vital. The amount that represented our priorities being completely wrong. You were right. Oliver's surgery was an emergency. The wedding wasn't. We chose badly. We hurt both of you. This check is what we should have offered. Help for medical expenses, support during a crisis, putting family first. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that I see it now. I understand what we did. I'm sorry, Dad. I held that check for a long time. Oliver peeped over my shoulder. What is it? An apology from Grandpa. Is it a good apology? I think so. He understands what he did wrong. Does that mean we have to see them? No, it means he's learning. Whether we let them back into our lives is up to us. We decide who gets our time and energy. I'm not ready yet. Then we wait until you are or we don't. Either way is okay. I never cashed that check. But I kept the note because maybe someday Oliver would be ready to consider forgiveness. Or maybe he wouldn't. And either way, I accuse him every single